Oh, that's good.
What'd you get?
I made hot cocoa and then I put coffee liqueur in it and whipped cream. So I'm calling it a cocoa mocha rum, I guess.
Cocoa mocha.
Cocoa rum mocha.
Cocoa rum mocha? I like cocoa rum mocha.
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 Oh, good. We're recording this.
Welcome to This Is Lit, a podcast where we drink and talk about our favorite books. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Casey.
So raise a glass and let's get started.
So, Casey, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking cocoa with coffee rum. A cocoa rum mocha. It's very, very heavy on the rum because I don't know if you've ever had it. It's Kraken. They have a coffee roast, black rum.
I did not know that.
It's an overproof black rum, but it tastes like coffee. And it's so smooth that you can drink it on ice. Like I've just had it on the rocks before. So like half of my cocoa is like rum and then cocoa.
Yeah, I am drinking a Crown and Coke. That's about Crown Coke.
You can always tell it's going to be a fun episode when both of us are like, yeah, we're not drinking wine today. We went for the liquor.
Yeah, we went for the hard stuff because we are recording this on the 14th of January of 2021. And let me tell you, it's only been 2 weeks, but holy crap.
Yeah, it's been an eventful 2021 thus far. Because of the way that things have been going in the country. We're both from the United States.
Yes. Because I know we have some international listeners. We are in the United States.
And yeah, we're in the United States. And so with the new president's inauguration coming up on one side of us, and then back behind us, the attempted coup at the Capitol last Wednesday, we're at pretty low mental capacity around here.
Yeah, and I know some other places are calling it a riot. It's at minimum an insurrection. Mm-hmm. But the more we find out about it, the more Case and I are leaning towards failed coup.
Yeah, it's a hot mess.
Yeah, it's really scary.
If you're an American listener, you know that we're all kind of going through it, and it's okay that you're feeling weird and to be easy on yourself because we're living through a very stressful time right now.
Yes, it's very scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. And like everybody's having a hard enough time with the pandemic. To add this on top of it is just a lot. So easy on yourself, as we have chosen to be on ourselves this week because neither of us finished the book. I don't think I even opened the book, to be completely honest with you. So the storied life of AJ Fikry is kind of being dumped. We apologize for that.
Yeah,
but like I said, I didn't even open it. I can't focus on anything for more than like 5 minutes at a time. So instead, Liz, why don't you tell our listeners what we're going to be kind of doing today with our episode? It's just a little bit different. We still wanted to check in, but
yeah, we still want to check in with everyone. First of all, we hope you had happy holidays, whatever those holidays may have been. And we're just kind of, since this is the first episode of the year, we're going to kind of be giving what our, I guess, 2021 predictions will be. We're going to talk about some of the books we're excited to read that are coming out, some of them that are on our to read list that may not necessarily be new books, but we're still excited to read. And then we know, since we're getting more and more listeners that recommend books to us, we're going to kind of give you some guidelines for book requests. Yeah.
Also, we're kind of changing our setup a little bit. We're going to be kind of expanding our focus, and we've been talking between ourselves, and we're going to keep talking between ourselves about how we can make this podcast better. So we're also probably going to try and open up suggestions, either email or a suggestions box on our website, so that you guys can give suggestions of what you want to see, because if you're bored of just hearing us rehash books drunkenly, we can do other literature stuff too. But
cocktail recipes,
but also just in the very basic form of our numbering of our episodes, because we started This Is Lit in the middle of a year. It kind of made it confusing when the new seasons were, and they don't matter as much in podcasting as they do in other things. But This is, for all intents and purposes, the beginning of season 3. Yes, Liz, is that 3?
4.
4.
4. Season 4.
Yeah, so this is season 4. I think season 3 is just really short.
Yeah, season 3 is
it's not a full year.
About half a year.
Because we wanted to have our season marker be at the beginning of the year because that's easier for us.
Yes.
So season 3 was short and season 4 starts now. And then from this point on, our seasons will turn over with the year, which is easier for us to remember. Not super important for you to know, but just in case you're curious why the numbers jumped up on, Spotify or Apple Music. Or
yeah, I think it only shows up on Apple. So happy season 4, Case.
Happy season 4. So in honor of season 4,
yes.
What is the book you are most excited to read in the next year that we already know we're going to read?
A book I am really looking forward to that should be coming out any day now is the first one that pops to mind is Crown So Cursed by L.L. McKinney.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how quickly she's going to get that done because now she is writing Wonder Woman's black twin sister for Marvel.
Yeah.
So good for you. Go, sweetie.
It's native, baby.
Yeah. Woohoo.
So
I saw that on Twitter this morning. That was very exciting.
Well, I imagine Crown So Cursed is already probably finished. So it's just going through, I imagine this won't impact that book. It might impact other books she's got planned, but I think Crown So Cursed will still come out on its normal schedule, which I'm also really excited for that one. I think it's the last one in the Wonderland series.
It's the last one in the Alice trilogy.
Wrap up all of Alice's adventures.
Yes, the Nightmare Verse. That's the hashtag she uses for it.
Well, I'm most excited for Casey McQuiston's second novel, One Last Stop, which I follow her on Twitter, and so I've seen posts of fan art of the characters from people who have already gotten to read the books, or her talking about her headcanons or writing it. But One Last Stop is her second book. Remember, her first book was Red, White, and Royal Blue, which we read.
Oh, that was such a good book.
Fantastic book. We both absolutely loved.
Wow.
But One Last Stop is basically Tristan and Isolde, except for it takes place in a New York subway station, and the characters are lesbians, one from the 70s and one from modern day. So I'm very, very excited about that. Give me more queer content all the time. And then, of course, that also reminds me, I'm very excited about Can't Take That Away, which is Stephen Salvatore's, I think, first book. And it has a genderqueer protagonist who is auditioning to play Elphaba in the School Musical. So those are the two that I know we're going to read.
If you don't know who Elphaba is, she is the Wicked Witch of the West in the Broadway musical Wicked.
Know who Elphaba is. Everybody knows Wicked.
Not everybody on this place knows what Wicked is.
Listen, I am a musical theater nerd, and I will admit there are lots of musicals I know about that nobody else knows about. But everyone knows Wicked. Wicked is like the millennial version of Grease. Everybody knows it.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, so the main character is genderqueer, and they're going out for the role. I don't know anything else about the book. It was actually recommended to me on Aiden Thomas's Twitter feed, who
yes, I know Aiden Thomas is actually working on a new book, which may or may not come out this year, which I'm also very excited about. It's a Peter Pan kind of twisted thing going on.
Yeah, the Neverland book. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I don't know when that one's coming out, but
yeah,
it's his next novel.
So much of it is like with authors, they're like, oh yeah, I'm writing a new book. When's it coming out? I have no idea. Like I'm halfway done with my own book and I'm still like, no idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea.
It's definitely one of those things. And it's very interesting. I strongly recommend to any of our listeners who are really big book nerds and really just enjoy reading to keep up with literary Twitter, especially with like YA Twitter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're always going to find the new interesting stuff that has non-conventional protagonists and people of color and queer people that are represented. I follow L.L. McKinney and Aiden Thomas and Casey McQuiston, and then I have followed several more people in offshoots of those people. And it's created this really cool network where I'm constantly seeing and hearing about new YA novels, especially, but new novels that feature queer protagonists of color and other marginalized groups, which is really exciting. And it's one of the things
Yeah.
that kind of gets me through the horrible parts of my Twitter feed is knowing that there's all these authors out there working so hard to bring us a better literature.
And if you don't want to hear us talk about literature that involves minorities or marginalized people, what are you doing here?
But yeah, so I think that there's a lot of really good stuff that we're going to see in the next year. I feel like we're going to get caught on a theme a little bit of
Yeah.
a lot of like I think there's a pretty wide variety of different YA stuff happening. So you'll see some fantasy or
Yeah.
some,
Like I'm
historical
interested in
fiction.
what was the one I just got? Legendborn. Have
Legend.
you read anything about that?
Mm-mm.
It's young adult sorcery. It's about that thick.
Oh.
But I got it in my Owlcrate box and I've just heard nothing but rave reviews about it. They said it was something, they said it kind of reminded them a little bit of Hunger Games mixed with Sorcery of Thorns. But the main protagonist is a young Black female teenager. So I'm like, this will be interesting.
Yeah. I think that, we're probably going to see a lot more. Liz and I have also tried to become more conscious over the last couple of years about what we're reading, because we had in our first year of the podcast, we definitely read a lot of books that were by and for straight white men. And so we've been,
and it just made us angry.
Yeah, we've been trying to move away from that and read more work by women, by people of color, by people in other marginalized communities. And I think that's made our reading interests more, our reading lists more interesting, because we're seeing a lot more perspectives. And I'm so grateful that we've actually had this podcast, because that's given me motivation to seek out books that I might not have otherwise done. But I think you'll see a lot more like that in the coming year, a lot of books that are from these other groups other than just like straight white dudes. So,
Yay! Yeah, so if you guys have any books to recommend to us, we always love that. Like I said, we're probably going to get something going on our website, like a suggestion box. But there are a couple of things we probably should warn you we're probably going to have to stay away from. One is just biographies or autobiographies. They're really hard to kind of talk about like theme and critique the book, because then we're kind of critiquing somebody's life, which we really shouldn't do. So nonfiction. You can't
separate a biography or an autobiography from its writer or from its subject matter. So like there's no value in us doing that unless you're looking for something more historical or politically oriented, which is not what our channel's for.
No. There are lots of other channels for that, and it's not that we don't like them, it's just that it's not a good format for us to address on this podcast.
I mean, all you would see is me getting really, really drunk and screaming about like Andrew Jackson or something and how much of a fucking...
Oh Lord, don't get me started.
Like we would not talk about whether the book was well written. I would just talk about how much I hate Andrew Jackson for an hour. And I'm sure it's a fun thing to do, but that's not thematic with our podcast.
No, it's not. Which, side tangent, when I was a designer, we had a school that we were working for in the Midwest area. I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is, but it was named after Andrew Jackson, and the mascots were the Indians. And nobody thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Even I'm like, come on, guys, really?
Public school
not cool.
Nightmare. You know what? When I was in second grade, I went to school in McKenzie, Tennessee, and our mascot was the Rebels. And it was just a little Colonel Sanders looking dude in the gray Confederate uniform with a big red hat. That was our school.
By the way, the Confederacy lasted the same amount of time as 45's presidency. 4 years. That's all it takes, guys, is 4 years.
Anyway,
moving on.
We're trying here. We're trying.
We're trying real hard here, guys.
So back to our book recommendations. biography, autobiography, not great for our channel.
No.
If it's something
Format wise.
more like a memoir, I would be interested in memoirs.
Yes, memoirs
but-
we can do.
But biography, autobiography just doesn't really work with the format that we have. here.
Yeah, just because like Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson is an absolutely wonderful book, and I love it. It's a fantastic book. And I've suggested it to Case a couple of times for this channel, and we
Haven't
can't critique it.
Yeah.
We just can't. It's
Really hard.
it's somebody trying to find the good through their mental illness. So it's like, why? No, we're not going to add on a pile of BS to that. But if you haven't read it,
All
go read it.
podcasters-
Jenny Lawson is fantastic.
All podcasts are just people talking about their feelings about other people's feelings.
Not true. Astonishing Legends tells us factual information about mysterious unsolved cases. Scott Philbrook and Forrest Burgess listen to our podcast. And Tess Feifel. Okay, so the next thing for recommendations are kind of just personal things. Like, for instance, I started The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry.
Mhm.
I got to page 17 before they mentioned his dead pregnant wife, and I closed the book and threw it across the room. And if there is some kind of, basically it's one of those that it's like, if there is some kind of situation where somebody thinks there's going to be a happy family or just a happy baby, and then something tragic happens to take that baby away, I'm not going to be able to read it. So if there's like the baby dies in childbirth, or if, you know, the wife was pregnant and then dies, or if there's a miscarriage, I'm not going to be able to read it. Like, that's why I wasn't able to finish The Time Traveler's Wife, was because she had 6 miscarriages. I'm like, nope, can't do this anymore. I'm done. As a parent, that just hits too close to home for me right now, especially since I'm a new parent and I'm trying to keep these babies alive through a pandemic and a crumbling government infrastructure.
Karina and I are calling it the coup-demic.
The coup-demic. That's a good word for it. I'm trying to keep 2 babies alive through a coup-demic. I don't need any more stress in my life other than that.
Right. And remember, like, our personal opinions on books are subject to change at any time. And like and they're not like hard and fast. Like, there's probably been a book that Liz has enjoyed that has had that element in it. And like that she maybe would enjoy again. It's really just going to be dependent on our judgment calls. So just keep that in mind when making requests, I guess, is really important.
The next one's kind of just an unforgivable sin of writing, is you don't kill the dog. You know?
Have you not read I Am Legend?
I walked out of the theater after he killed the dog. I left.
Does the dog die?
Spoiler alert.
DoesTheDogDie.com. Listen to our podcast.
Yes. DoesTheDogDie.com. Like, what is it? The Art of Racing in the Rain with the Enzo doggy? Absolutely not. Nope. I watched that trailer and immediately went, that dog is dying in the end.
So you don't want to read a book where the dog dies?
No, that's just an unforgivable sin of writing. Like, if somebody kills the dog and you try and give them a redemption arc, it's not going to happen. Kind of like if somebody, I don't know, kills all the younglings. George Lucas.
And that's that.
Mm.
The other one, sexual violence.
Yeah, no.
Doesn't preclude us from reading a book. But we're not going to read anything with graphic sexual violence. And if you are recommending something that you know has sexual violence, a trigger warning would be much appreciated.
Yes, definitely.
Generally speaking, I find myself okay to read some of those things if I know in advance, but if it's sprung on me, it's not great. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted because it is fucking hailing.
It's hailing?
Holy shit, like it is coming down. I think we're supposed to get a snowstorm tonight in this area.
Yeah, we're under a blizzard warning until tomorrow at like 6 p.m., which is why I'm very glad they delivered my shampoo.
We have gotten off track. I had a lot of rum in my coffee. No dead dogs, no graphic sexual violence.
Yeah. And no sexual violence if it is basically kind of fridging the female character, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Where it's like they do this to prove how bad of a person he is. It's like if that's the only thing you can think of something else.
Those are pretty much our kind of limits on fiction. Other than that, we'll read pretty much anything.
Yeah, just about anything.
But yeah, also keep in mind if you do leave a request that we may already have some things lined up, so you might not see it pop up immediately. I would say
we have a file, and sometimes new books come out that we're super excited about, so they get bumped up.
Generally speaking, I would say give it 4 to 6 episodes, and if you don't hear, you can request again. But that's just a kind of frame of reference, because it could be more than that, it could be less than that before your book gets on there, and we'll try to keep up with you. We don't have like the massivest following on the internet or anything, so like we can probably like send a response back being like, your book is on the back burner. It's going to happen at some point if we see a second request from you of the same thing.
Yeah, I try my best to respond to all of the messages and emails we get. I'm a little slower these days than I used to be, but I will respond to you.
Yeah, and we're just 2 people. Like, we don't have any kind of staff or any kind of, I do all of the editing, Liz does all of the communications, and we split the social media. So we're just kind of, this is very much a basement garage here. So
our first thing we're going to do is hire a social media manager.
just be patient with us. Obviously we're doing this for fun. We're not making any money off of it. So yeah, but we would love to hear more from our fans. We'd love to have more interaction.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's kind of what I think 2021 for us with This Is Lit is about reading more diverse authors and about interacting more and engaging more with our listeners, just because sometimes it feels like shouting into the void, and we'd like to hear from you. Comments on episodes, if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, go a long way, but even just, sending a suggestion of a book you want to hear, or a suggestion of something you want us to do on the podcast that's maybe a little different. We're generally going to stay in the drinking and reading category, but we don't have to just review books. We could also do a book recommendation list. We could do a cocktail night. We're flexible, and we'd like to hear from you, because we want to make our podcast better, because there's no point in continuing to do the same thing over and over without trying to improve.
Yeah, and we're open to branching out into subgenres like comics. Like, I know I read all the Adventure Zone comics, so I'm trying to get my hands on Sandman. So that's hard to find.
But yeah, we just are really grateful for all of our listeners. And we hope that this podcast gives you some brief reprieve from whatever day that you're having in the capitalist hellscape. But yeah, that's also kind of why this has been a weird episode, and why you get to hear AJ Fikry.
Yes. It's never a good sign when one of the hosts throws the book across the room 20 pages in.
No, probably not. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention in this episode, Liz, or are we about wrapping up here?
Well, for those who are listening, that's my empty glass.
Well, Liz wants to be done now.
No. If we are going to continue, I need a refill.
I think we're probably good. Just thank you for listening. We hope this was interesting, even though it wasn't our conventional fare. We will be back at the end of January with the Song of Achilles,
which will kill me.
Assuming that
I'm halfway through and I'm dying, Case.
I haven't even started it yet. Again, that's another thing. Is like, we are planning to keep on our schedule, but if we have more aberrations like this, that's going to be the way it is for a little while. We don't know what's going to happen with the inauguration next week.
Yeah.
So presumably we'll
guys, please.
Episode, but
on a side note, they're saying that we have to watch all the state capitals carefully. My husband's family lives in the Kansas state capital, so please keep them in your thoughts that they stay safe.
Just everybody, Those of you who are listening from outside the States, thank you for your support. Those
Yes.
of you who are listening from inside the States, we're with you. We're also not sure what's going to happen next, but hopefully we'll be able to help each other through it. Like I said, anticipate our next episode on the 30th with Song of Achilles, but also be gentle with us if you're being gentle with yourself, because we don't know what's coming next, and we're just going to kind of try and get by with it.
And be gentle with each other.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. If you enjoy our podcast, you can follow us on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and our website, litliteraturepodcast.com.
Yes, and if you're feeling exceptionally generous, my twin daughters are turning 1 in a week. And Case has been married less than a year and just bought a house. So we do have a Patreon. So anything you guys can give, we know things are tough right now. We really appreciate it. But also, too, if you can't give anything, we understand. Just tell a couple of people to give us a listen on iTunes, Spotify, or give us a watch on YouTube.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. Take care of each other, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. For more information, visit us at litliteraturepodcast.com or check out our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. And remember, too much work and no vacation deserves at least a small libation.
Cheers!